Milk from the one remaining cow was in a glass at each child's plate, and there was a big bowl of wild greens Deborah and Shula had gathered that morning when they'd finished work in the field. If only what Deborah had seen was a nightmare in the daytime, a trick of the senses. But it wasn't. She had to speak and shatter forever the peaceful contentment of her home. "They're comin'," she gasped as Verity looked up at her. Verity's hand went to her throat. Her golden hair was only faintly dimmed, and she was still slender as a bride. "Your father?" "No, men. Soldiers." Even as she spoke, there was the sound of tramping. Janey whimpered and caught her mother's skirt. Everyone else sat as if frozen, leaping up only as footsteps sounded on the porch. 2 men in white cotton uniforms strode into the room. Sashes, epaulettes, shoulder straps, and swords indicated that they were officers, but the men crowding behind them wore linsey-woolsey. The Georgia militia, Deborah noted dully. Through the window she saw more men surrounding the house, readying their bayonet-tipped carbines. Her heart raced. She felt as if she were stifling. The terrible day had come, and Father wasn't with them. She moved closer to her mother, and Shula did the same. The 2 little girls shrank against Verity's skirts and stared at the officers. The one in the lead had hair like tarnished gold. His tawny eyes rested with almost physical pressure on Deborah's wind-blown hair, flushed cheeks, and ripening figure, before taking in Shula's dusky beauty and Verity's aristocratic demeanor. He seemed to notice the gracious furnishings of the room for the first time, and a puzzled look came over his face. He took off his leather cap and bowed. "Madam," he said to Verity, "is this not a Cherokee dwelling?" "It is." Verity's chin rose proudly, though there was the slightest tremor in her voice. "Then it is my duty to inform you," he went on formally, "that by General Scott's orders, you and your family must come at once to the nearest stockade to await transport to the west." Verity stood mute, as if unable to believe the enormity of the command. Finally she managed, "But our home, our furnishings." The officer's eyes grew cold. "You have 10 minutes to gather up your necessities, madam. I suggest you use them wisely." It couldn't be true, but it was. Dazed, Deborah asked Shula to get clothing from their bedroom while she got things from the kitchen. 10 minutes! If they had even a day, even an hour. But the truth was, this day had been foreseeable for a long time. Ever since the Revolution, the United States had been taking Cherokee land, but the government had also distributed spinning wheels, plows, carts, looms, and hoes. Many Cherokees soon had prosperous farms, raising cattle, hogs, chickens, and horses. Mission schools were set up. The part-blood Cherokee Sequoia invented a modified alphabet, or syllabary, so easy to learn that by 1822, most Cherokees could read and write in their own language. All those years hadn't been peaceful domesticity, though. The Cherokees had been forced into ceding more than 15,000 square miles, and the chief, Doublehead, who had signed the treaties, was condemned to death and executed by order of the tribal council. One of his executioners had been Major Ridge, ironically now under threat of death for the same cause, selling common land without consent of the council. And that was the part that made Deborah's skin grow cold no matter how hot the day, because her father, Andrew Leigh, had signed the same treaty, realizing his people were going to be driven out and hoping they could be persuaded to move in a way that would be as easy as such a wretched thing could be. Since 1808, Cherokees had been moving west to get away from the whites. Deborah's great-grandfather burned canoes.